"Screw it," he said to himself, then grabbed his keys, his phone, his wallet, jerked on his jacket, and hurried outside to his car. The trailer park was only a few minutes away, and he had driven past it countless times, he realized, never even noticing it was there. He hadn't seen how big it was on the map, but when he entered the driveway, he saw there were at least 25 trailers. How would he ever find Baxter's? He parked his car in a visitor spot near the entrance and decided to walk around to see if he could find him. As it turned out, Baxter wasn't hard to find. When Hagen turned the first corner, he came to a full stop as he was confronted with the view of a trailer, half collapsed with a massive branch on top of it that had clearly been ripped off a tree. And in front of that trailer, on the cold, snowy ground, sat Baxter, his head resting on his arms. Next to him hunched an older man, his bony hand on Baxter's shoulder as he spoke to him, too soft for Hagen to hear. White-hot jealousy blazed through Hagen. That guy had to get his paws off Hagen's boy, and fast. What did he think he was doing? His shoes crunched on the gravel road, and both men looked up. The sheer hopelessness and exhaustion on Baxter's expression almost caused Hagen to trip. There was no longer any doubt in his mind he'd done the right thing by coming here. His boy needed him, whether he realized it or not, and whether he was officially Hagen's boy or not. Baxter needed him, and Hagen would be there for him. Baxter's, "What are you doing here?" mingled with the other guy's, "Who are you?" He addressed the guy first to make sure he understood how the lines were drawn. "I'm Hagen, a close friend of Baxter's." Understanding lit up in the man's eyes as he let go of Baxter's shoulder and rose to his feet. Hagen closed the distance between them, and by the time he had reached them, the man had extended his hand. "Jim Caffey, I own the park." Hagen St. Croix. What happened? He figured he'd better ask this guy, as it seemed more likely he'd get a straight answer from him than from Baxter. "The heavy snow caused that branch to snap off, and it crushed straight through the roof of Baxter's trailer. He's fine, but his trailer is too dangerous to enter since we can't assess if the rest of the roof will hold. I called in guys to lift off the branch and the roof and see what they can salvage, but it'll be 2 days because of the icy roads." Hagen looked from Baxter to the trailer and back. This time, he needed no one else to paint the picture for him. Everything Baxter owned had to be in that trailer. So if he couldn't access it, and he had no money, he had nowhere else to go. "Okay," he told Jim. "Thanks for bringing me up to speed. I'll take care of Baxter. Here, let me give you my phone number so you can call me if you have any updates." The look Jim gave him was relief mixed with gratitude, as if he was both happy and relieved someone else was taking Baxter off his hands. They exchanged numbers, and all that time, Baxter sat on that icy lawn, barely moving. Hagen waited till Jim had waved goodbye at them both, though Baxter didn't even respond to him, and had walked off. Then he crouched down in front of Baxter and reached out with his index finger to tilt his chin upward. "Let's go, boy." Something flashed in Baxter's eyes, the first reaction he'd had since he'd asked Hagen what he was doing here. "Go where?" he asked, but it wasn't defiance in his voice. It was weariness, exhaustion, and Hagen's heart filled with something warm and fuzzy. "You're going to come home with me, Baxter. Let's get you warmed up, fed, and maybe allow you to catch a nap. What do you say?" "I can't pay you back," Baxter whispered, barely audible. "I have nothing left. Nothing." Hagen understood they weren't just talking about money. "It's okay, baby boy," he said, the endearment rolling off his lips as if he'd never called him anything else. "Let me take care of you." That's when lightning struck his brain. He didn't want Baxter to serve him and take care of him, like CJ and Jake had done for him. They had been his boys, his subs, and he'd been their dom. Sure, he'd been responsible for them, and he'd made sure they lacked for nothing. But they had served him. But now, with a blinding clarity that ached in his heart, he realized everything was different with Baxter. He didn't want Baxter to take care of him. He wanted to take care of Baxter. He didn't want to be his dom. He wanted to be his daddy.